It's me, Renee. I'm back, and this is my wrap up, as you can see, from Vaultathon. So Vaultathon round 8 happened last week, from Monday till Sunday, and I had a TBR that didn't really follow that much, but yeah. Okay, so here's how it went. So Monday and Tuesday, Monday I still kind of had a bit of bad back, so I wasn't really in that much of a mood to read that much. I think I read a bit, but not very much, and also I was just very unsure what to read. So, as I actually said in that video that went up on Monday, I read a bit in every book, and all the books seemed interesting. But yeah, that's how that went really. And then on Tuesday, I read a bit more, but I actually had to go to work, and kind of the day just kind of flew by, and suddenly work was there, so I didn't read a lot. And then on Wednesday, I didn't really read at all because on Wednesday I got my last second dose of vaccine. So yay! But the dose that I got, well, I suppose it's kind of mixed. Like I've heard a lot of people say that when they get the second dose, they get more side effects from than when they from in difference to when they have the first dose. And also the vaccine I got, kind of, it's one that is full of side effects, like all the jolly side effects. So that was fun. So after that, I was just so tired. I had slight fever. Took a paracetamol, so I got it down, but like I wasn't really in my at my full capacity. So yeah, I listened to this audio, but I didn't read like a paperback. But not like I should have read a paperback, but yeah. And then on Tuesday, I was supposed to have a meeting, but that was cancelled. And then instead I went away to my sister's, and so I listened to actually a bit on the way there, but I didn't finish that book. And yeah, and on the Friday and the weekend I was at my sister's, so I did a bit reading, but I ended up mostly finishing audiobooks that I had kind of had on hold for a while. So yeah, my TBR, it's still quite a bit unread, but hey, I mean, it's me. Have you often seen me finish all the books on my TBR for at least a month one? Well, for at least a read one that's just 1 week? I don't think you have. That's very, very rare. So if you expect that, you come to the wrong channel. I'm a mood reader deluxe, and yeah, especially this week, well, last week, life got in the way. So yeah, but that's not to say that I didn't read stuff. I did read stuff. So yeah, let's talk about what I did read. First I'm gonna just talk about the audiobooks. So give me a little moment. So there was why? Oh yeah, I finished 2 audiobooks, and I started. Well, I didn't start. I continued with one audiobook. So yeah, the first one is The Love Square. I finished that on Monday or Tuesday, so very early on in the week, by Laura Jane Williams. It's British rom-com. Well, is it romance or rom-com? I would call it a rom-com. Yeah, I would call it a bit more. Well, the difference between a romance and a rom-com, I suppose rom-coms are funnier. I'm not that well versed there, but it's the central plot was that love life of the main character, so it was love filled. Let's say it like that. And yeah, and like at the beginning, you have kind of this preface of the main character having to say goodbye to a loved one, and then the chapter 1 it goes back in time, and then you find out how she meets that person, and so you already know that that person is not going to be the end all be all. And then through the course of 1 year, she meets 3 different people. And so, like, before the book starts, it's like, I haven't really had a boyfriend in years. And then, of course, 1 year, everything happens. And then she kind of have to, like, decide. And yeah, it's called Love Square, so it's not just she and two men. It's 3 men, so it's a bit different there. And I did enjoy it. I think maybe a silly, superficial thing that maybe I enjoyed most was actually the narrator, because the narrator was British, and she had such a calming, nice British accent. Well, it's British accent. That sounds a bit. So she had a London accent, and I very much enjoy that, and it was just very relaxing to listen to. So that was a big plus for me. But I did also enjoy the story in itself. But yeah, the narrative was a big plus. Though I would say like the end, I felt like bits of it felt a bit rushed here and there. Bits of it felt like, what? That's suddenly going on, and that's suddenly going on. So I would say like end up maybe being a more far 4-star for me, not 5-star. Though for a long time I thought it was gonna be 5-star, but end up being a 4-star or 4.5 or a weak 5-star might also be. But yeah, but it's not like, I suppose it's one of those books that I won't say run to the store and listen to it or like buy it, but I wouldn't say don't listen to it. I just maybe would say it's not a book I highly recommend, but it's not like it's a waste of a time. I mean, you can easily enjoy the book, but like now I've finished it a few days ago. Now I haven't really thought that much about it, so it's not really a book that sticks lots in your mind. And like sometimes you want a book that's kind of fun and easy but don't stick in your mind, and sometimes you want something that leaves a trace. And sadly, I wouldn't say this one does really. So yeah. Then we also have which I finished just recently on Sunday, but it's an audiobook, so I'm going to talk about it in the same at the same time. 500 Miles from You by Jerry Colligan. So Jenny Colligan, she's written lots of different. Is she maybe more in a chick lit area? Because it's romance, but it's not like, it's not romance heavy in a way. I'm not sure. Like all the definitions between like romance and then chick lit and then rom coms, like they kind of sometimes they go kind of into each other. Like they're not that different. And I've just started reading more romance filled books lately, like these last 2-3 years. So I can't, and I haven't read that many, so I can't say to be that much of an expert. But yeah, okay. So anyway, Jenny Colgan, she writes romance-filled stories for adults. Let's say like that. And they have humor in them, but are they rom-coms? Not quite sure. Are they chick maybe? Yeah. Anyway, so this is about a nurse, and yeah, it's already been it's just been 2 days, and I already forgot the names of the protagonists. Well, the one of the protagonists, so it's told from two point of views. It's Cormac, who's Scottish, and then Lisa. Yeah, Lisa, who's from London, and they both kind of have their thing to deal with, and they end up doing a work exchange. So Lisa from London goes to the Highlands in Scotland, and Cormac goes to London, and they end up kind of becoming pen pals because they kind of have to tell each other about like, my patient needs to this and this and this, and my neighbors are like this and this and this, and don't worry about that and that and that. And then of course over time they form a friendship and then a love. Well, yeah. I enjoy this. So I would say like, okay, so this is a book that's in the same. It's a companion book to other books. I would say I enjoyed the other more. This one was, it was good, but like, okay, so I started this audiobook maybe like back in May, maybe. I at least started a long time ago, and I didn't finish it before now. So that kind of says something, really. I mean, I suppose like I didn't DNF it, but I didn't like rush to finish it. So I mean, that kind of gives you a hint of how much I loved or didn't love it, or hated it. But yeah, yeah. So that's the audiobook. Well, sorry, that's the audiobook. That's the two audiobooks I finished. But so 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I started listening. 3 weeks ago? No, in August. So yeah, actually now like 4 or 5 weeks ago. But yeah, quite a few weeks back, I started listening to the audiobook of The Woman in Cabin 10 by Tooth. Sorry, by Ruth Ware. Wow, I was about to say Tooth. Ruth, Tooth. They're both short words. I don't know. Sorry, my mind's a weird place. Anyway, Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. So Ruth Ware is one of those thriller mystery authors I heard about, and she's supposed to be. I saw one blurb telling that it's a modern Agatha Christie, and I was thinking, interesting. I love Agatha Christie, so anytime anything's blurb as that, I think like I want to check it out. So far, maybe we're halfway through it. Yeah, actually, I think we're halfway through it. And well, it's set on in part. It's part 1, 2, and 3. Maybe it's part 4 as well, but at least now we're at part 3. I think it's around chapter 15, 10. I don't quite remember, but yeah, around that time. And stuff has happened. But yeah, and this kind of seems to be different timelines in a way. And so it's interesting. And it's a good book. But so far, I'm not really sure why you would describe it as Agatha Christie-like. Maybe because it's by English author, but like that's a lot of English authors in the world. Not all of them are Agatha Christie-like. I suppose you could say it's because it's a mystery British author, but still, it seems like a thin line to draw, really. Maybe it's because it's set in like a closed space. Like this book, it's set in a boat, so like people can't go out and in. But still, I wouldn't really say it's that Agatha Christie I like. So I don't really see the tendency or like the recommendation, the likeness really. I'm like, how did you make that comparison? I'm just baffled a bit there. Maybe it gets more clear when like I finish the book. But so far I'm like, it's a good book, but I got a Christie like. I don't know. But anyway, I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I started listening to it many weeks ago and continue with it a lot more this week because my sister, she lives 4 weeks, 3 hours away from me, so it's a bit of a drive. So I listen to audiobook on the way. And yeah, let's get to the paperbacks of the physical books I read. We have first one to do that finished, and then talk a bit about ones that started but didn't finish. So we have How to Find a Princess by Alyssa Cole. And this is the second book in the Runaway Royals series. I would say I enjoyed this much more than I enjoyed the first one. Though I would say I still prefer her first series, the Reluctant Royals. And exactly why I prefer the first series. Are the characters more interesting? Better? Are the plots better? I'm not quite sure. It's a bit difficult to say. But anyway, I did enjoy this. I did. I did also end up listening to a bit of this on audiobook. I really enjoy Karen Chilton, who does the narrator. She does the audiobook of Alyssa Cole's books. And she has just a great voice. But like mainly end up reading this in paperback, in physical form. And yeah, it was very enjoyable. A lot of it took place on sea, which was kind of interesting. I didn't really expect that. Well, I suppose it does say so at the back. Yeah, it just says so at the back, but I didn't really pay attention. I just kind of knew. I knew that it's a Cole book and that it's retelling on the Station Romanoff, and that's all I need to know. I don't need to know more. So the boat was a surprise, but it was fun. I would say anyway, like also like yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a bad unpopular opinion, but okay, so as you know, I've read all the other Alyssa Cole books. I enjoy them. But I would say I feel like a lot of them like they take a long time before stuff happens. It kind of feels like in a way like a lot of them are kind of like a long preface, and then there's a small middle part that's very interesting, and then poof, it ends. It kind of makes me feel like the climax is often too late in the stories, in the story, in the plots. So that's kind of And this one, I would say, this kind of had that issue. I kind of felt like a lot of this book it was just more like prefacing, kind of like telling about what could happen, and other stuff, but it wasn't like that much action. That was interesting stuff. And then at the very end, stuff happened, and then climax, and then it finished. Like, okay, that's the book. That's the book. I would say that I'm probably gonna reread this. I don't think I will reread the first book in the series called How to Catch a Queen. That one was just, yeah, kind of a bummer in different ways. This one I enjoyed more, so I will reread it. But I suppose maybe I'll enjoy it more as a reread. That might be maybe Alyssa Cole is one of those authors that's like she's much better at a reread. Maybe I haven't really reread any of the books yet, so maybe. But like also um her what's the word again? Her historical novels, I think, are more or less perfect. None of them I really have any complaints about them. It's more contemporary novels that I kind of have issues with here and there. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, but although I do enjoy this book, I would recommend it. I do. But again, I didn't love it. But yeah. Then, so Jane in Love by Rachel Given. Sorry, Rachel Givney. So this is actually audiobook. Sorry, a debut book. I found it randomly while I was working. I was kind of looking at what's the new book that's coming out in English, and just kind of searching different stuff. I searched Jane Austen, because often I have Jane Austen retellings and whatnot, remixes, and yeah. So I found this. This came out and came up. I thought, looking at it, like, oh, so Jane Austen travels to modern time, England. That's cool. I love time travel, and I really enjoy Jane Austen. So yeah, I'm one of those basic bitches. I really enjoy Jane Austen movies and adaptations. I have actually never read any of her books. Seems a bit weird, but like, yeah. So that's what I have. So I enjoy Jane Austen. Just haven't picked up her books. I suppose I might do one day. It's not like unlikely I'll do that, but so far I haven't. But anywho, so this is about Jane Austen time traveling to the past, to the present. And I love time travel. And I thought, Jane Austen time travel to the present. That's a cool idea. So I just felt like, click, buying that book. And then yeah, I kind of felt like picking this up. So I brought this with me to the weekend and I read it. And also yeah, so this book, this cover, what do you think when you look at this cover? Yeah, it looks sweet and nice. You have flowers, you have people looking at each other. It looks too nice and beautiful. And I suppose this was kind of my fault, but I kind of had an idea this was YA. And I read it like, oh, okay, so this is more adults. But then again, like, what's an adult story? Because yes, this book featured, like, in this book, Jane Austen is 28. Her love interest is like 35, 34, a few years older than her. I don't think it's explicitly said, but I think it's said that it's a few years older. And then another character that's big, she's called Sophia. She's 38. So all the characters in this book are adults. Like, there's talk about like when these characters tell us when these characters were young, but like no scenes, no big aspect of this book is set when they're teens or younger. So I would say in that way it's an adult book. Then again, there's no violence in it and there's no sex scenes. So like often I've heard people say like an adult book is a book that has sex, violence, and swearing. This doesn't really have that. I suppose it has like a bit swearing here and there. So I suppose maybe the best way to say it, it's a clean romance for adults because the characters are adults. But I suppose also in a way maybe you could call it also a crossover novel because you can easily read this if you're 16, 17. There's no racy elements to it really. Like if you're scared of your 16-year-old niece or sister or something reading books with sex in it or much violence, this does not have that. But yeah, so like from the cover, you might think, okay, sorry, this is gonna be spoiler. Often I don't really spoil stuff in wrap-ups and stuff, but here I kind of need to do it because I'm annoyed. I'm so annoyed. So if you don't want to know the thing that I'm going to talk about, that's a spoiler. Go away until I put down my finger. Okay, so this book, it looks so sweet and beautiful and romancy, and yeah, you just kind of get all the lovely vibes, don't you, from the cover? And also like it's called Jane in Love, and it's called the title. It's called no. Its tagline is, "What if Jane Austen traveled to present day and fell in love?" Traveled to present day. That's quite true, and fell in love. Yeah, she just fell in love. But of course, what happens very quickly is that she okay. So in the beginning, she's like she meets people, and then she says like, "I'm Jane Austen," and like, "Ha ha ha! What are you? You silly crazy woman!" And then kind of soon-ish, one of the persons she meets, Sophia, okay, you are really Jane Austen. And then she's like trying to help her survive modern day and kind of also helping her get back because Jane Austen kind of she wants to get back at least in the beginning. But then very quickly she kind of Jane gets fascinated by this modern world. Like she's enjoys it. Like things that people are females have such much more opportunities here, and there's so much more stuff here, and people don't die at 15 of preventable diseases and like all this stuff that she enjoys, which yeah, is kind of a good perk of modern day. And yeah, she also falls in love with a guy from this day. It's not like she time travels with someone else. She falls in love with someone from present day. So of course that's kind of like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Like if you go back, that's gonna be sad, and you can't go with you. And yeah, and so very quickly she discovers that one of her books are suddenly missing, and suddenly she didn't write Persuasion. And so like throughout the book, more and more of her books are missing because she ends up not writing them because she doesn't go back, or maybe she goes back and doesn't write them. We don't really know, but like yeah, the consequence is more and more of her books are missing. And then at the end, she decides she kind of wants to go back, but also like throughout all this, while her friends is trying to get her find a way for her to go back because she doesn't really know how am I gonna get back. She didn't. I mean, when she went time travel to the future, she didn't really know like that was what she did. So like, oh, I'm in the future, and then like how to get back? Like, how do I get back? So it's kind of big to do how to get back. And then yeah, throughout these weeks while she tries to find a way to get back, she falls in love, as I said. And first she kind of still okay, I like this guy, but I kind of want to go back. But then kind of like yeah, this is spoiler part at the last like I suppose maybe at the fourth to next last chapter. So the fourth chapter that's towards the end. She decides, you know what, I'm gonna stay in the present. She gets engaged to this guy and stays there. And at this point, all of her books, not one of her books, exist. And when she asks, like, offer librarian, like, have you heard of Jane Austen? No, haven't heard of them at all. So it's not like it's a author that wrote books that uh, were like interesting for a few times and then were lost or something. Like, no, she didn't write any books at all. She's not remembered as author at all. And like, yeah, so that's kind of a huge thing. But yeah, she still kind of thinks, you know what, I want to stay here and be like happy with this guy. She stays there for a while and then she kind of realizes, you know what, okay, like because I don't write the books, I will never meet my family again because, of course, that means her staying in the present. Uh, like, yeah, that's the alternative. And also, like my books become such a canon in the world and they're now gone. And then you also have the fact that like lots of different people they have PhDs in Jane Austen works. You have movies of Jane Austen, and then all of this is gone. And like Sophia, her friend in the present day, she's an actress. She plays in a Jane Austen movie adaptation. But of course, now when her books aren't in the world, the adaptation is nothing anymore. And so there's all these consequences. So Jane decides to go back. She figures out a way to go back. And what happens? She goes back, she writes books, and then everything like is how we know Jane Austen. And like I'm thinking here, like yes, like I would like her to go back. I mean, kind of I suppose in a way, like, I can also enjoy, like, if you could find a way for him to go back with her, because often that's what happens in romance, time travel romance. Like, often they get together in the past, they stay together in the future. They don't. There's few romances where they don't end up together. I suppose that's also like, would you call this a romance? Because they don't end up together. I mean, if you stop reading it at close to the last section, they end up together. But if you read all the way through, they don't. But yeah. So it's not a happily ever after, or happily for now at least. So it's bittersweet. But I felt like, okay, so maybe she goes back and then she finds someone in the past that, like, she gets a relationship with. Though, like, even though she never marries, maybe she can have, like, uh she can have a fling with someone, or like she can have some form of romantic love story. No, that doesn't happen. No, she ends up going back and just writing books and being happy with her books, but, like, no boyfriend at all. And I'm like, really? This author couldn't, like, find it in her heart to, like, give Jane Austen a happy love story just in the past. But, like, I mean, she doesn't have to make them marry, but, like, something. I mean, because, like, in the beginning, Jane Austen, like, everyone, all the eligible men in the country is too intimidated by me because I'm too humorous and I'm too old. Because, like, when you're 28 in that time, you're old and spinster. And I'm like, there's not one person in the whole of England, in the whole of the world. Maybe she can find a boyfriend in Ireland or Scotland or Wales, Guernsey. There's no one, not one person. That just kind of baffles me, and yeah, that kind of soured my taste for this book, really. So yeah, am I going to reread it? I'm not quite sure. Also, yeah, I suppose now the spoiler's over, so yeah. So yeah, the ending of this, I didn't like it really at all. Just yeah, I did not like the ending at all. So yeah, I didn't like the book all the way to the ending. But, like, at the end, how it ends, no, 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 not cool, not cool, dude. But yeah, I did finish this one. So yeah, then I also actually started this, A Marvelous Life. The Amazing Story of Stan Lee, A Marvelous Life. So this is a biography of Stan Lee. Sorry. Written by Danny Fingeroth, who also actually co-authored, who actually worked with Stan Lee for a while. So far, yeah, I'm doing the bad thing where I'm doing dog ears with this book. So far, I am 117 pages in. So I suppose actually I'm a bit of, like, halfway, really. It is a book of 350 pages, and, like, at the middle here, there's some pages with pictures, so that's cool. And yeah, so far I'm enjoying it. It's a very interesting read. A lot of this stuff I kind of knew a bit about. Like, I knew that Stan Lee created the X-Men and created Spider-Man and stuff like that, but I didn't really know much of stuff behind the scenes and stuff. So this is an interesting read, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I'm reading it a little by little. So yeah, and I also I read I read a bit of, like, Curse of the Queen by Jenny Eldermore, but, like, I've read very much in it, and yeah, I'm still slightly in the fantasy slump. Like, this book so far, it's not fantasy, but I know that it has a curse, so after a while it'll be fantasy. And I want to read it. I want to read it, but, like, often pick it up, read a few pages, and then put it down. Like, I want to read something else. So yeah. I did also read about, you know, I did also read about maybe, like, 2 chapters in this book, but again, and it's I kind of want to read it, But like last week was all over the place. And right at the moment now, I'm kind of thinking, don't really think I'm in the mood for this, so I'm thinking this kind of been going on the back burner a bit, but already so far it's good. But yeah. And so that's my Vaultathon wrap up. In regards to the movie, I did start to watch Robin Hood on my own on Tuesday, but that was like on Tuesday evening after work. So like I started watching it, and I kind of felt like I'm a bit tired. I don't really want to watch a whole movie, even though Robin Hood's not a long movie. But yeah, I didn't end up pausing that and watching a TV series instead. And then kind of week happened, and I didn't watch the rest of the movie. Kind of want to do it soon, but yeah, I didn't watch it last week. Yeah. Also, yeah, I know I said I have planned to watch two other Robin Hood movies that I have on DVD. I didn't do that either because life. And yep. And yeah. But I would say overall I enjoyed it. I had some good reading experiences, and it was fun to participate in the way that I did. Yeah. Even though I didn't stick to my TBR, there's no TBR police. So yeah. You might be asking yourself, well, the books, which prompt did you like kind of use them for? I'll simply go and talk about them in the comments, in the description, like say which worked for which, and yeah, it's kind of a long video now, and I'm just gonna stop there, and I'll see you later. Bye.